Let's get creative together. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Vodkast Does Dungeons and Dragons. I'm your host as always, DMJ. Now today I want to talk about using Dungeon Alchemist as a tool, but not for creating maps necessarily. Sometimes, not very often, because this brain is pretty creative, I need inspiration. Sometimes what I like to do is I like to pop open Dungeon Alchemist, which is what we've done here. And after it's open, I'll pick a random scenario. In this case, right before I started filming, I chose a forest, a ravine, evergreen clearing with some snow. And what I did is I came up with this little map here, as you guys can see. So here it is, a ravine. Now, from this perspective, it looks like you could probably walk around it, but let's just say we're looking at this not as a map, but rather something to inspire us. Obviously, when you're creating a map and choosing your terrain, you're going to want to look at this up here, the change terrain type, the forest and stuff. So if your party is in the middle of a desert, you're not going to want a forest, most likely not going to want snow. However, your world, maybe it snows in the desert. I don't know. That's a great thing, and that's why I love this tool for something other than mapping. So right now, I'm looking at this map, and I know that my party is going to be going into a frozen tundra, this place called Shamar. On my map, I'll show you now, there's a magical mountain range called Mount Elisha. It's almost an under the dome type scenario where on one side of the mountain it is always swelteringly hot. The deserts are just awful, filled with sandstorms. And on the other side of the mountain and halfway in between the tunnels that lead through, there's a switch that happens and you find yourself in an environment quite the opposite. Subarctic temperatures, horrible blizzards, frozen wasteland of just deadpan ice and snow for as far as the eye can see. Occasionally it's scattered by mountains here and there that you have to traverse to get through it. Nonetheless, I chose this map due to the fact that I was trying to think of something to get them from point A to point B. Sometimes as a DM, you're sitting around, you're going, okay, I know I want them to get to this castle and fight this bad guy, but how do I get them there? And travel is a huge thing too. I recently watched a video, I think it's the DM's Lair, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of other Dungeons & Dragons channels just to kind of see if there's a void that needs to be filled there, because I would really like to be the void filler. So if there's something that's missing out there in the world of Dungeons & Dragons that you think that I could handle or cover, let me know in the comments below and I'll gladly add that to my repertoire here. So let's get back to this map. So the first thing I thought of when I thought of this map was they're going to have to figure out a way to get across this. And I think the challenges in this would be really interesting, to throw a bridge across there that's really rickety. Maybe halfway across, something starts happening. You know, the bridge starts to snap, the ropes are starting to ting, and just then, from out of nowhere, they start to hear the screeches of some creature coming out of the mountains or out of the forest around them. But that's what I love about this Dungeon Alchemist, and I want to do a few of these with you guys now. We're not going to work on a map today. I just want to kind of dive in and see what we can come up with in our head. Maybe come up with a good idea for you to use in your campaign. You to use in your campaign, if I can talk. Developers of Dungeon Alchemist, I would love to see a way to just completely randomize this so I don't have to choose and see what it gives me. And that's where I think that your software here can be used as another tool, kind of a randomization where you're like, okay, I don't know where I want to go today. Maybe it's a brand new game and you're trying to find that inspiration to start that very first game, and you just can say, hey, give me a random map, and boom, it gives you a map, and you're like, okay, no, refresh. That would be a great feature. But because that's not a possibility, we're going to take a look here and see what we got. I think I want to go jungle. I've always loved the jungle. I've never really messed around with this. We got to have dense growth, because if there's no growth, then there's no point in doing a jungle. We're going to do water, but I don't know if I want to do an island. See, it doesn't matter. Let's do lava lake. I don't know what lava lake is, and of course, well, let's see what it looks like with snow, and if we don't like it, we can always take the snow out later. That's the nice thing about this. Oh, dear God, what is happening? See, this is inspiring to me, though. Not just this, too. If I was actually going to start a game, I would find a map that I like, something like this, that I'm like, what is happening here? How can this all exist at once? Why are there palm trees covered in snow? And in the middle of this map, there's a giant lava pit. And that makes me go, okay, I want to use this map. What can we do with this map? Where do our players find ourselves in this situation? And this could be, let's say this is the first game. What would you do if this was your map? You've set yourself to this map. You're like, I love this. I know nothing about it. I don't know the history behind it, the magic behind what's happening here, but I'm going to start digging in. What would you do? Let me know in the comments below. I think what I would do in a case like this, If this was a first game situation, I think it'd be great to have the party tied up. Maybe there's a bunch of goblins around. They're covered in their furs, and they're getting ready to do something. Maybe it's a sacrificial pit to these people. Maybe there's something that comes out of the lava to eat them. Maybe the thing that comes out isn't quite something they'd expect. Maybe it's a wizard that comes out, and he's just been using this illusion kind of to get these goblins to follow him. And maybe now he needs this party to get away or something like that. See, this is what I love about these maps, is just like, this came out of nowhere. All right, so there's a snow scenario. Let's look at the same map without snow this time. Okay, there it is. Without snow, it's still pretty cool. You're going through the jungle with your party and you come across a giant pool of lava. There's a million stories you could tell. I mean, I could easily capitalize on one of the ones that I already used, but first game scenario, here we go. The party have just met and they've been asked to go out and recover some treasure that was stolen by a troll here in this jungle. They stumble across this area that they've never heard of, never seen of. There's never been any stories back in town about this massive lake of lava. So they start to investigate it. They start to go around it. They climb up the trees. They want a different perspective of it. They start digging to see how far it goes, see if there's a border, if it just continues underneath the ground. Finally, they discover that this is just a pool of lava that goes really deep. They weren't able to determine the depth of it using every magical and non-magical means. Where does it go from here? Now I'm just rambling. I don't know. You let me know in the comments below. I gave you a little star. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure. Let me know where it would go from there for you. So for this next one, let's go grasslands, Grand Canyon. We got meadow or steep. Let's go with steep. We don't want a lava lake this time, but perhaps it's all on an island with no snow. Let's take a look and see what we get. Some may say this is boring. I would call this twin islands that were once together, and due to a horrible cataclysmic event, it just shattered the earth, and half of it went one way, half of the other, kind of a Pangea, North America, South America. The continents, that's what they're called. Let's zoom in. There seems to be one tree over here. Now, that's probably something that the software just decided to throw in there, but that could be part of your game. Maybe there's a giant tree where everything lives around this tree on this one island. Life flourishes on this island, and for some reason, there is an opposite. When the island split into two, the second one is in complete darkness. Nothing will grow on it. Nothing lives on it. Everything is just blackened and gross. And why? Why did this happen? Why cause the separation? Perhaps, it's a Tafiti thing where you got to find the heart of the island and bring them back together again. I don't know. It's just, I really dig this. I like that there's a goal in mind. I like that there is one point of interest that really stands out, not a lot of them. You're surrounded by water. Explain that. Maybe it's maybe they were out on a boat and the boat crashed and now they're here. That could be a first game scenario. I think that'd be interesting if they were all hired to be sailors and the sailing never happened because they crashed or there was a storm or were attacked by a creature. These are all the things that I love about just being a dungeon master, coming up with this stuff off the top of my head. I mean, if I was getting paid for this, I could literally work until I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore, just writing and writing and writing. I love it so much. I love using the creative juices, not just in this aspect of it, but of the drawing, the making of the maps, the storytelling. It's just such an amazing art form that brings together a lot of my loves in one. And if I really wanted to write a song, I could do that too for the game, but I've never gone as far as to do that, but maybe I will. Who knows? Off the subject, I did write a song called Softball once, which is a story of me and my friends. Every Sunday, we used to go play softball during the day, and then we'd go home, we'd take showers, we'd probably cook something, maybe grill something after that. We'd all meet at one house, and then we'd come back to my house and play Dungeons & Dragons. So that's the story of my second-generation players. So my first generation, I've got kind of these third, fourth generations of players that have all been with me through the years, and they've all kind of taken up, anywhere from 4 to 10 years of gaming life. So there's a little story about my DMing, my dungeon mastering, my love of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going to encourage you to do the same. If you have Dungeon Alchemist, you should definitely use it for storytelling purposes, not just for map making. And if you don't own Dungeon Alchemist, you should definitely keep an eye on it. Maybe add it to your wish list on Steam. Wait for it to drop in price. It's a little hefty at $40, but it's worth every penny of it. Anywho, I'm going to leave you guys now. I hope you've loved this episode as much as I love making it. If you guys are loving the content I'm creating as much as I love creating the content that you guys are watching, would you please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and hitting that little bell icon because it'll let you know every time I put out a new video. Don't forget to make somebody smile today and make yourself a better person tomorrow than you were today. Tomorrow, let's make the world spin a little bit happier and a little bit more dungeony. Something like that. Together, let's sing and dance in the sun and in the rain as one, my brothers and sisters. Live life to the fullest and love every moment of it, because you just never know when that last moment's going to come for you. However, never live in fear of that moment. Always live in love, and never let your inner child die. Ooh, wee. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and take care of those around you who cannot take care of themselves, for they are the ones that need it the most. And if no one has told you today that they love you, the Vodcast loves you very much, just the way you are. All right, guys, do no harm. I'm Geycen Oliveira. This is the Vodcast. I'll catch you guys a little bit further on down the road to 50. Take care, my friends, and happy adventuring.
Don't go to sleep with a catch it in your pocket.